A passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver, Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone. Here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world, for it, one Om at a time. So welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show. For those of you who are coming back, you are going to be tired of this, so you can stick your fingers in your ear for a minute, because I have to tell every week my new people that have joined me this week, first of all, welcome. Second of all, remember that the world only changes when you change it. That if you're not happy with the world the way it is, if you don't think it's perfect, why aren't you doing more about it? What are you doing about it? Are you standing up? Are you taking action? Are you speaking out? Are you making a difference? For those of you whose idea of a good time is changing the Velcro on your butt and your couch and drooling on your remote control, doesn't cut it. And guess what? You don't get to complain because you're not doing anything. We invite you here at the Dr. Kevin Show to make a difference, to speak out, to be heard, to ask our guests questions, to ask me questions, and to express your ideas and your thoughts to our listeners. We have lots of listeners out there, and maybe you will say something that will change somebody's life in a positive way. But you can only do that by coming to facebook.com/mydrkevin, MYDRKEVIN, and posting your question on the timeline. I have posted today's show to the top. It's easy to find, and you can put down what questions you may have. Or you can tweet me at mydrkevin, MYDRKEVIN, or tweet me at weboflight.com. Any of those places, I make it very easy to give you a mic and a voice so you can be heard, so you can make a difference in the world. If the world goes to hell in a handbasket, and some already say that it has, those of you who did nothing might as well have lit the match. So just keep that in mind. As always here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we start with the hot topic. Sometimes the hot topic makes me feel hot under the collar. Sometimes it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Today, unfortunately, there is no warm and fuzzy. It is a hot under the collar. And I've posted on the timeline the piece I'm getting ready to share with you, so you can read it if you would like. Then after I read it and I tell you why I created it, you can, come to facebook.com/mydrkevin. Don't forget to like the fan page, and you can comment on it. You can comment on what we're saying. You can comment to the guest. I'm going to be asking my guests what they think about it, but I'm going to tell you the story first. So last weekend, I posted something about a study that had come out that said that, as far as they could tell, all indications were that people that were raised, children that were being raised by gay parents, same-sex parents, were, just as normal, just as healthy as, them being raised by, a male and a female. And I thought, well, this is good, because my belief has always been, if you have two loving parents, then you're hitting a home run. If you have one loving parent, well, at least you got a loving parent. If you have two parents and no love, bad deal. I don't care what their gender is. A child needs love. They need attention and they need care. That love isn't less love because of your gender. And in fact, lots of very impressive people that have gone out to change the world, have been raised in a single gender household. Sometimes it's a mother-grandmother. Sometimes it's, a father, it's a father and a son that raised the child, because that's what's happened. No one's ever said, they should be taken away if it's a mother and a grandmother. No one's ever said it should be taken away if it's a father and a grandfather, because maybe the mother or the husband or whatever never existed, as part of the kid's life, or that they died. No one would dare say that. But of course, if it's a same-sex couple, it's a different issue. So I did the post, and on the post, what happens? I get all of these people coming in and trying to hit me over the head with quotes from Leviticus and all of these different things, and I simply had just had it. I am done. I am done with being respectful to people who are not respectful to me. So I wrote this meme. I have posted it. I've got some interesting comments on it, and it's been getting shared a lot. I'm going to read it. The meme is on my timeline, and then I'm going to ask our today's guest what she thinks. It's called, Are You Doing God's Work or Satan's? Here's a way to figure out whose work you're doing. God's work, love everyone. Satan's work, judge everyone. God's work, being compassionate, loving, and accepting of all God's creatures. Satan's work, chaos, discord, and hate for everyone except the people who are part of your cult. God's work, putting time, energy, and resources in supporting and doing good works which help all people and creatures of God have a better existence. Satan's work, putting time, energy, and resources to punish, hurt, and be cruel to those who are not like you. God's work, role modeling the acts of Jesus and a loving God. Satan's work, using the Bible as a book with which to bully and persecute people. Yeah. So if you are a good, God-fearing person who must preach the wrath of God, support hate and cruelty in the world, create chaos, and constantly be deciding who is going to hell, you're probably a Satanist. I don't judge you for being a Satanist. I just thought you ought to know, and the work you do is for the devil. So that was my response, and this is going to be what I am going to send every time somebody takes out their Bible to beat me with. Because their Bible is their holy book. It's not mine. How dare you assume it is? And how dare you hold me accountable to your holy book? Because, it just doesn't work. So today's guest is Carol Wachniak. I probably just pronounced that horrible, but she'll correct me. In a word, she's a wife, mother of 8, and a grandmother of 11 children. She takes ideas and turns them into reality. She was a contractor's daughter. And she's involved. She was the founder of the Fiji Foundation.org. That's FIJI Foundation.org, where I can't wait to go teach some classes. I've always wanted to go to Fiji. She's also an area director and club president of CEO Space, a radio host of Positive Impact Radio, The Difference You Make by the Actions You Take. So she probably loved my intro. She's a professional doula. Now, a doula is not to be confused with a daha. A doula actually delivers babies. Yes. A daha delivers stupidity. Mother and 6 daughters, all professional birth and postpartum doula and midwifery services. And she's a team leader of the waterbearers.org. You can find out more about Carol's, one of Carol's great loves, which is the Fiji Foundation, at fijifoundation.org. Carol, are you there?
I am, and I'm really excited to hear your topic today.
Yeah. So, tell me, what do you think?
When a baby is born, this is how I see the world. When that baby is born and it's only a couple hours old or 15 minutes old and you look into its eyes, all you know is love. The only thing that's different is when they become an adult, there's a story between the time of birth to where they are. And there's no difference. That baby was born in 100% pure love. That's the energy. It's a breath of life that it was given. And so to me, I think love is the original source. And the only 2 choices we have is either we have love or lack of love. And when you have lack of love, that's when the hurt, the pain, the name calling, whatever, misses the story. And the story is, we were all born in love.
Yeah, and that's, and it's such a great thing because when we do with a child, and a few shows ago, because of a completely different incident, I had started my show with You Must Be Carefully Taught from South Pacific. And it talks about how you must be carefully taught to hate the people that your family hates.
Right.
And it's so sad when you watch how contagious fear and bitterness is.
Yeah.
And yet that baby came in and wants to explore everything, touch everything, learn everything, be everything. And then the adults around it start screwing it up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what do we do? What do we do? How do we get to a place where we just simply allow our children to be the loving beings they came in as? How do we get there?
One of the ways I'm learning is by knowing my yearnings to matter, to make a difference, to be loved, valued, and wanted, and honoring those yearnings. And now I'm seeing I can honor those in my children and how they express those in a way that is just genuine joy. I'm amazed at the emotional intelligence, and that's our thermostat. When we feel joy, when we feel love, when we feel that giggleness, the happiness, that's an expression of a yearning that's being satisfied.
You know, I love to laugh.
Yes.
And we've known each other, what, 5 years now? 5, 6 years?
Almost that. Yep.
I lose track of time. But I love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. I love to make people smile. You've seen me do some crazy things.
Yes.
And I've had people say to me before, well, are you afraid people are laughing at you? And I'm like, it doesn't make any difference. They still laughed. I don't care.
Right.
Because whether they laugh with me or laugh at me, I still got them to laugh.
Yeah.
And I can't change what somebody thinks.
No.
Never happen.
I think one of the things that you do, Kevin, is you emulate, and it vibrates out of you how much you care about people, and being clear about the yeses and the nos isn't a bad thing. It gives you a definition.
And our music has started, and we will be right back with Carol Wachniak. Carol.
Yes.
Pronounce it.
Wachniak. Wachniak.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, where, wait for it, we change the world how? One Om at a time. Tonight's guest is Carol Wachniak.
Yes.
Wachniak. And she is the founder of the Fiji Foundation at fijifoundation.org. Carol, is there another website that you would like to have me put on the Facebook fan page for people to find you at, or is that good?
That's good. Or they can go on my LinkedIn account.
Okay. And so I will, if you, on our next break, go to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, you can actually put underneath our little radio thing the link to your LinkedIn account. How's that?
All right.
I'll put you to work instead of me trying to do it.
Figure it out.
It's not that hard. Just bring up your LinkedIn account and Control All under the bar where it says how to reach, like what the LinkedIn.com/ your name is.
Oh, yeah.
And and just cut and paste it right in the comment bar and people will find it there. So, Carol, just so you know, sometimes I will talk to you on the little messenger that should be down at the bottom or the side of your screen for instant messages. So you can look there if you want to talk to me. We got so busy catching up before the show started, I never even mentioned that. So now I get to do it live on air. Bad Dr. Kevin. Bad Dr. Kevin. So, Carol, this part of our show called Outside the Box with Dr. Kevin. And this is where you're going to take my listeners outside their box. You're going to stretch their comfort zone. You're going to introduce them to something that you think is going to help them grow as a person. So what would you like to expose them to?
Okay, I would like them to find in their mind someone that they are so upset with, that they have such a judgment over, a grudge, unforgiveness moment. And I'd like them to close their eyes a minute. And I would like them to look at that person and put them back in time, whether they're 20 and now they're 19 and they're 15, whatever, and go back all the way down to the moment of birth and look at that person, that 1 day old or 1 moment old baby. And how do you feel about that baby now? How would you respond to that baby? What would you say to that baby? My brother was murdered. He was dismembered. And the way I forgave the gentleman who did that was I did this exercise. And there's just no way you can look at that brand new baby and not have compassion, love, and understanding. And that's how I look at the world. I look through those eyes. I look into your eyes. You're a 1 day old baby. What would I want to do for you? What were your dreams? What did you come to this earth to do? What's your purpose? What's your yearnings? What's the most important to you? To be seen, to be heard, to be wanted, to be loved, to matter, to connect, to make an impact? Every day you get to do this over again. You get to choose how you want to respond. And for every person that you've made a judgment to or a thought about, go back. They're a 1 day old baby. That's what I would do.
So, that's very interesting. And I'm going to do my world famous trick here, Carol, which is I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth at the same time.
Okay.
I keep on being told if I do this too much, they're going to elect me to president, but that's okay. Or at least to Senate.
Yeah.
But on one hand, I think that's a beautiful exercise. Go back and remember that every person that came into the world came in innocent.
Yeah.
Came in as a little bottle of love.
Right.
And that sometimes it can diffuse or shift the anger, or it can shift or change the energy to what happened. What happened to this person? What happened that made them the person who murdered your brother? Or what happened to make them the person who, killed 11 kids in a schoolhouse? What did we as a world do? Now, in some cases, there was something just going wrong in their head that wasn't identified and dealt with.
Right.
In some cases, so there's a nature and there's a nurture. They were brought up. I mean, I say this all the time when we see all of the suicide bombers and we see all of, how come there are so many people out there, and this goes back a little bit to the opening, the whole thing about religion, who will tell you they have a loving God and then go kill in the name of it. Like,
right.
Which part of that doesn't add up to you there, sweet cheeks?
In my situation, you still have a responsibility to set boundaries, to cause no harm to others. And in the contrast, if we didn't have the contrast, we wouldn't be able to make a decision for something better, to improve ourselves. Like with 9/11, it was a terrible thing that happened, but it rallied us to be better people to each other. And in those contrast moments, we get the opportunity to rise to the occasion, and not necessarily in a I'm gonna get revenge for it, for whatever the event is, but we get to see how much we value life and what that means to us, and where we clearly state to ourselves, to our neighbors, whatever, no, I value life, and I'm going to stand for life. I'm going to stand to make it a safe place for me, your kids, and I'm going to allow that person to develop their dream. And I think along the way they lost their dreams and they never had any. And they grabbed a hold of somebody's shirt tail. It was just the wrong shirt tail.
Well, and where part of where I was going with this, and I've had my own practice for 26 years now as a spiritual catalyst and a counselor. And,
yes.
One of the things I have to warn people about sometimes is some people are very good at seeing someone's actual. Like, you rewind that and you go back and you saw their original potential.
Right.
It's the same thing. There's the potential of origin. There is the actual of, attainment, where they came from, what they could do. But you must always, always take a deep breath and see, but where are they in this moment?
Right, right. You can't not recognize it. But the difference is that when you don't have such a charge, you can think clearly and respond appropriately. So if the boundary is a no, for example, one of my kids was having a little bit of an attitude, and so I just took him over to the police station. I said, okay, you don't want to listen to me? Let's go a little bit higher. So I just took him to the cops. You know what I mean? There was still it needed to be addressed. Things need to be addressed, and if he didn't want to listen to my rule, okay, he's going to listen to somebody's rule. Somewhere along the line, there's a boundary.
Yeah, well, and again, I think that getting somebody to understand that there is a responsibility that they have for the consequence of their actions to other people.
Yeah. Yes.
And that that's one of the concerns that I have sometimes about this hyper-focus into technology, that it almost isolates the cause and effect of human relations when everything is done through a text or an email.
Yeah. Or the games the kids play, and they don't have any sensitivity to that shooting, 40 guys down on a game, the shooting games, and they don't have anything to think about it. It wasn't a real human being to them, but how easy it's disassociated with.
Yep. Well, and that's part of my concern. And also that it has been proven again and again that technology to a very small child actually inhibits their imagination and it interferes with their growth. And you shouldn't be giving 9-month-old, 11-month-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-olds iPads to babysit them.
Right.
It's
right.
not how they learn. And, you know, and I know people have tried to, like, twist this of, oh, you just don't understand and, you know, you're being old-fashioned. And it's like, no, there's neurological evidence that as that brain is forming, it needs to smell things, touch things. It needs to understand what reality is. And reality is not behind a screen, whether that's a TV screen, a computer screen, a video game stream. They need to be into interacting with people, with nature, with toys, with things they can touch, with kinesthetic learning. And so people can poo-poo all they want. The evidence is consistent and strong and has been that way for a decade now.
Right.
It does get in the way of certain kinds of learning and development.
I like real life learning. I'm a homeschool mom, okay? So to me, for example, when we moved into this house, it was an unfinished basement. One of the projects was, okay, the kids had to finish the basement. Everything from the insulation on the electrical, the drywall, everything. They had to figure it out so that what do they get to practice with? Kids today, they don't get real life stuff. When I grew up, the woods next door to me was my playground. I would go out on the boat and I'd be in the swamp and I'd be finding frozen turtles in the ice. And when I talked to some of the kids I invited over for my birthday one time, I said, hey, it's like 8 o'clock at night. I said, hey, you want to go out to the woods? And they're going, what? No way. And I'm going, where did you grow up? That was when I was it became very apparent to me. I said, where did you play? And they said, we played in the alley. And here I am in the same town playing in the forest preserve.
And that's the sound of our music. We'll be right back, and we will discuss more.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Vibe Nation Radio is brought to you by Carrie Turcott and Dean Thomas. Each week we bring a refreshing outlook to lifting the veils of illusion that occur in our daily lives. We will share our own learnings and personal experience that allow others to understand who they truly are.
At the end of each show, Carrie will be tapping into the listeners' energies just to give an idea of what to expect for the week ahead. So join us each Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and together we will discover the inner keys that will unlock the true you.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. We have today with us the founder of the FujiFoundation.org, Carol Wachniak. and she is also the area director for CEO Space. She is a mother and grandmother of so many that she's single-handedly been responsible for the population explosion. And then she's even given birth to more little monsters because she's been not only is she a lifetime doula, but she has, done that. She's made her children, many of her children have become doulas, to go out there and not do it the right way, not go to hospitals where you get to have lots of good drugs, where your kid gets to get, mangled up and fed drugs they don't need. I mean, it's un-American to have kids born at home. It's un-American for kids to be born in natural ways. Who taught you, young lady?
Is that a question?
What's all this natural shit?
Oh my gosh. Well, there is a story behind the story, and if you'd like to hear it, I'd be glad to share it. If not, that's okay. But
you go ahead and you do a quick share on that story, and then we're going to move into this next section. So share the story. It's got to be a good one. It's you.
Yes. Okay, so with my first, it was a frank breech, and turned out to be vaginal, but the next two kids I had broke my tailbone, and so I wanted to deliver on my hands and knees, and the hospitals wouldn't let me. I met a midwife, and I delivered at home on my hands and knees, and I didn't break my tailbone again, because I broke the tailbone because they wouldn't let me sit up in bed during delivery.
Are you saying that hospitals might be being staffed with control freaks?
The anesthesiology department controls the floor, and everybody else follows suit.
Oy vey. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember all the stuff that Joan Rivers did, where she'd talk about how, she'd say to her daughter, "I had 20 hours with you, and this is how you treat me."
Yeah, I know. And Bill Cosby said his wife grabbed his bottom lip and ripped it over to the back of his head.
So, anyways, so this is called Behind the Curtain. And this segment always starts, unless you've been on my show before, with the same quiz. So here's the quiz. Are you ready?
Yes.
Name the name of the movie that this line came from.
Oh my God!
You're the man behind the curtain.
Oh, The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. See, that wasn't so bad. And what I always remind my listeners of is that the Wizard of Oz was a con artist. He was a con artist whose balloon blew into Oz, and then he created all of this glitter and glitz. And, it was the great and powerful Oz when he was nothing but a shyster from Kansas.
Yes.
And so today we have a lot of glitz, glitter, and false leads, a lot of spin going on a lot of different things, and people don't know what the truth is. So in this segment, I ask my guest to share a truth that if my listeners understood what this truth really was, it may change or it will change the way that they live their life. What truth did you want to share?
Let me see what truth. I think learning your own personal power and to be true to that yearning and make a one decision. For me this year, my one decision is to learn how to care for myself in all ways. Being married for as many years as I've had, I've never really been required to financially take care of myself and in that way. So for me this year, my one decision is to learn how to do that and to monetize myself and be speaking and learning and growing and deciding to grow more. And I've made a specific effort to enlarge my learning scale and to challenge myself to be all that I can be, to make myself more valuable to the world at large. And so I encourage everybody to decide on one decision this year and go for it.
Okay. I mean, and I think that's a great thing to do. What I want to know is what's the truth in that comment? Because again, this is behind the curtain. You're ripping the curtain open and you're pointing out a truth. So I want you to figure out, by what you said, what is the truth that you want them to understand? That maybe that they don't get, that they've never heard, or they've never, it's never been part of who they are.
You know, that, I think owning my purpose and finding out what the heck that is. What, for me, the big aha moment was knowing that growing up in the first 12 years of my life was my playground to learn the skills that I'm doing today. And going back, actually, I was interviewed by Shefra, and she pointed out some things that made me become aware of why I'm building a school in Fiji now, is because I am a contractor's daughter, and I understand the value of building that legacy. But I didn't know it. I didn't know the knowingness of it until about 2 years ago. And I think each of us can find out a knowingness. And I was afraid to say, and claim that space and say, okay. But I also had anger because somebody wanted to take away the Fijians' dream. Their dream is to build this, to have this school campus. It's their dream. It's not mine, but no child should be without their dream, or at least supported to have their dream. And so for me, I want their dream to come true, because then my dreams will come true.
Well, and there's an unhappy light in the background.
Yes, I have a grandson who's having a moment.
Well, children do that. It's part of being the child.
Sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to apologize for that. That's reality. So what I hear you say is that a truth is you will help yourself find your own purpose in life if you don't turn your back on your past, but work to better understand it and integrate it.
Yeah.
Because so often people are kind of like, oh, you have to kind of like, shut yourself off or walk away from your past in order, you have to free yourself from your past. And I think that sometimes there are some parts of your past that you do have to let go of.
Right.
But also that there is a part of but that there are very key things about your past which will always be key things about you. And through not owning them, how can you ever really do your purpose?
Right. To totally, fully embrace it.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard, and it's a journey. And,
right.
So often I help people in my practice kind of figure out, well, why did I choose the parents I chose? And why did I come into and have the early experiences that were really beyond my control? What were they here to teach me? What was I here to learn from them?
Right.
So now let me ask you a question. You raised 8 kids.
Yes.
And you talked about that this is the first time in your life that, you're not in a position where you have a significant other, a husband supporting you.
Yeah, I'm still married, and that's okay, but I've never had to learn, most 18, 20, 21-year-olds, they go out, they start to develop a career, go to college, whatever, and they start learning how to, cover their own bills. Well, in the 50s, I was born in 54, so that gives you my age. The idea, I got married to my first husband by the age of 21, and he was the provider. And it was never required of me to be the main provider. And now I look back, that's a major skill set that I missed out on.
Well, and on one hand, and I'm gonna use both my hands here.
Right.
On one hand, you're absolutely true, correct. It is a major skill set that you that you miss. On the other hand, because I'm a very big fan of a stay-at-home parent, mom,
yes.
dad, either one.
Right.
I don't care which one. But I think that in early development, having a consistent adult, it's either a mother or a father,
right?
It can definitely make a difference in how that child grows and evolves in their self-confidence and their self-worth. And of course, that always depends on the parent. If they're a really big bad parent, send them to work and let's take the other one and make them stay home.
Yep.
If you were paid minimum wage for every hour you spent mothering those 8 children by yourself, what would your pot of gold look like?
Oh, it'd be over $1 million and $2 million by now.
So,
easy.
Yes, there was a skill set of you not going out into the workplace and developing certain monetizable skills in today's country. On the surface, but on the other hand, the life that you gave those children by staying at home with them, by supporting them, by helping them with their homework, by being on top of when they were, struggling, having bad times, or even getting mouthy and you had to bring them to the police.
Yeah.
Has such a great value.
Yes, it does. And all of my kids are business owners, are entrepreneurs. And I think that's partly because we homeschooled too, so there was even more investment into them. And so I agree. I look at them and I think that too, as I enjoy them as people. Not everybody looks at their kids and enjoys them as people, as individuals, and what they're about to do or what they are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely have days where I look at my 25 million kids and I want to just drown all of them. Because I call all of my ADD and all my ADHDs my kids. That they're all my kids.
Right. Exactly. I totally get that.
Yep. So, so I can definitely say that there are times I just want to strangle the whole lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's our sound, and we'll be right back. Our last segment here. Yep.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences, to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she's feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. come up and see me sometime on the O Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the last segment this week of the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone. We're challenging Carol Wachniak this week, who is the founder of the Fiji Foundation. You can find out more about that at fijifoundation.org. You can ask questions and be part of the conversation by coming to facebook.com/MyDrKevin. Make sure you stop and you like that page, and then you can post your comment, your thoughts, your ideas, and we share it with our listeners. Now, Carol, we have 6 replays a week. If somebody should decide that they heard something you said and want to ask you a question, and it should come after our live show, will you jump on my line and answer it?
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. I don't have to go out and hunt her down, pick her up, shake her by her ankles, and get the answer for you. So, Carol, you have your own radio show. Before we go into what a load of crap, which is you get to share whatever you think is a load of crap in the world, tell me a little bit about because I know it's not here on OMTimes, but that's all right. We love you anyways. So tell me a little bit about that.
It's Positive Impact Radio, the difference you make by the actions you take. And I want to know who else is out there making a difference. I want to know who's in the playground. So that's why I started the radio show. I want to know I want to know about the news, the real news, the heartfelt news of individuals who are their own little heroes in their neighborhood, or something on a global scale. It makes no difference. If you're doing something that's making a difference in a positive way, I want to know about it, and I'm building friendships. So that's my deal.
So where do they find it? And you can go and post on the line. Did you go post your LinkedIn?
Nope, not yet. I'm still about that. It's right on. I have your Dr. Kevin Emery in front of me, and
that's all right. Don't worry about it. I already did it for you.
Okay,
you get to
great.
it.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Technology challenge.
Where do they find your radio show?
It's on Blog Talk Radio on Mondays at 2 in the afternoon Central Standard Time.
Okay, well, you are going to have to post that link because I don't know how to find it. I found the LinkedIn link because we're linked. We're LinkedIn in LinkedIn.
Yeah, right.
To LinkedIn. So I pulled it up and put it up there. So I've only got one last question about your radio show.
Yes.
Why haven't I been invited on it?
You actually, I sent you the schedule, but we've been playing phone tag and tag for a little bit. So, anyways, come on Monday.
That sounds like Monday? That sounds like the check's in the mail. So send it to me.
Come Monday. Do some Monday. Why not? Come on
Send me the schedule again. I'll keep my eye out for it. It might have got. I changed my spam filters. I can't remember 2-3 weeks ago. So I have a different spam filter. So I might have gotten lost there. So send it again. I would love to come on. So what load of crap going on in the world today? And you got about 8 minutes if you're lucky. And of course I'll interrupt you at least once to challenge something, I'm sure. So go for it. What's the load of crap?
A load of crap, right? Am I supposed to say something that's a load of crap?
Something that you hey, you told me you read the piece. You told me you read the information I sent you about the show. So let's fess up here. This is where you get to expose some load of crap, something that you think that's going on in the world that's a load of crap to my listeners.
Let me see. It's a choice of many things. I think, for me, something that's really passionate is the medical community and the pharmaceutical community overloading all of their toxic waste onto us. Meaning, the average person is a thinking human being who instinctively knows that highly nutritious foods can make a difference in the health and the well-being of their body. And not necessarily all the pharmaceuticals, all the toxic waste that is being dumped onto our food, the genetically modified foods, and how that is affecting our bodies. We're guinea pigs right now. And as a community, we need to stand up and rally and say, hey, I am done with this. No more experimenting. I get to choose whether I want a home birth, whether I want to have alternative health. Cancer is fixable, but doctors who do know what to do for it aren't allowed to even share. And chemotherapy,
they just murder them.
They're just, hey, chemo started with Hitler. The Bayer company owned a manufacturing plant right next to Auschwitz, and had them build it. And they were part of the war crimes. Bayer was mentioned in the war crimes, page 6 in the war crimes. And so people don't know it. They don't know that that's where chemotherapy started. And one doctor said to a friend of mine, we get you to such a toxic level that you're almost at the age of death, and then we back off. But where is it when the person is wearing hazmat clothes to administer this stuff to the patient? And why aren't we nurturing the newborn cell within the body and making the immune system stronger? That, to me, pisses me off.
Yeah. Speak right out there.
It just gets me, because once I started doing the seed milk for myself, I was given up for dead in 2003. And I started teaching this all over the world. It jumpstarts every cell in the body within 15 minutes. And you make it at home, and it's 4 seeds, and you germinate it, germination therapy. And the newborn cells recognize it. And hey, why not nourish those newborn cells that are born every day? Why are we loading them up with toxins, preservatives, food coloring, and everything else? How can they survive on that? They can't. And then are we surprised when our little systems start screaming? So to me, those are like little 2-year-olds throwing a temper tantrum, screaming for nutrients, and we don't listen. And we get a diagnosis, oh, you have fibromyalgia, you've got this, you've got that. Oh, hell, you've got a little 2-year-old who's been nutritionally deprived. Feed him. Give him water. Give him bioelectricity. Give him oxygen. And you'll see a change. Sorry, I got mad.
No, that's fine. And you know what? I've been fighting that battle, a different version of the same battle, for years now. And I talk about the way that we make our kids, laboratory rats and cash cows for the pharmaceutical companies. And Congress passes laws to support that activity, to actually promote it, to take away parents' rights to make decisions that they should about, what kind of treatment their child should have, and especially for things like ADD and ADHD and, these other made-up diseases. Right. Not that ADD doesn't exist, but it's not a disease.
Right.
And there's a different thing there. And so when you talk about, the fact that, and I toured all over the country speaking on the fact of, one of the facts I spoke about was, when you eat the standard American diet, using the standard American food pyramid, as put out by the FDA, you will end up with the standard American diseases that will require that the standard American pharmaceuticals and hospitals and all these other places continue to make money off of you, which they then put into lobbying dollars to pay off our congressmen.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's seriously crazy. And if we don't do something about it, because why in the world won't Europe accept some of our food products? And why do they ask us, how can you stand for that? Well,
there's this whole thing about Mexico refusing to let Monsanto come in and bring in GMO things. And they offered them millions of dollars in bribes to do it.
Yeah.
They refused. And then and then Monsanto went and tried to get our congressmen involved, our politicians, to put pressure on Mexico. And Mexico's like, you're not going to poison our people.
No, absolutely.
And
they did in India. It was horrendous.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. This is something that's definitely a load of crap. Our kids are not being taught about the importance of eating well, eating healthy. They are actually being brainwashed to make sure that they're the next generation of paychecks for hospitals and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. And it's a slow genocide.
Yep, absolutely. And the foods and the food supply and the food system and the way that the kids who are coming from households that need help and stuff like that, the kind of food that they get or the kind of food they can afford actually over time lowers the IQ, makes them less capable to deal with the world, makes them more likely to be apathetic or to struggle with issues that's going to keep them basically oppressed.
Yeah. The average newborn's got over 460 chemicals in their blood, cord blood at birth.
Okay, and that's it. Carol, thank you for coming. I look forward to seeing that email.
Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, honey. Bye.